So this is Dave Barnes, my good friend. We've known each other for, gosh, 9 years probably. Met at the Sutler, and we've become good friends. And Dave is one of the most talented songwriters I know, an amazingly talented artist, and has been building an artist career for 10 years. He's a Grammy-nominated songwriter. He's one of the most giving people and artists that I have ever known, and it's really an honor to have you here. Thank you for being here, Dave.
I'm sorry, I have to interject.
Okay.
I have to tell you guys quickly how I met Gabe, because he would never tell you the story. So I'd seen Gabe play a couple times at the Sutler, and I think maybe at 3rd and Lindsley or something. I had a really dear friend of mine at the time who was like, you got to hear this guy. He lives in Nashville. He's amazing. So I went to the Sutler and was truly, like, by about the 3rd song, like a fan. Not like, oh, this is great. I was like, I will meet him. You know, it was that sort of... And so this is a true story. So he played the Sutler, and I like stayed afterwards. I mean, this is not that long. I mean, I guess 10 years is a while, 9 years, whatever. But I was like, this isn't like I'm 15. I'm like well into like I should know not to do these things. And so I'm waiting at the Sutler for him to come, and literally I'm so nervous about meeting him. He kind of walks up. I was like, hey, I really enjoyed my set, your set, our set. Can we be friends? So Gabe is, of course, so kind, and we kind of talk for a few minutes, and he leaves, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So after that, I probably went to 2 or 3 more shows, and didn't really get to chat at any of those because it was, kind of crazy. And so fast forward probably about a year, I was at the Green Hills YMCA. I'd just gotten through, working out, and I'm about to leave, and I look this is back when the treadmills and stuff were on the bottom floor, and so way back in the corner, I see this guy running on this treadmill, and so I'm not thinking anything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Gabe Dixon. And I was like, no, you can't talk to him here, Dave. You gotta get out of here, just move about your day. Before I know it, I'm standing next to the treadmill, I was like, hey, Gabe. Gabe has got his earbuds in. And he's running, like he's moving, and I'm like, hey, and I was like, why are you, like 2 things. It was like, why are you, leave right now, this is awkward, / he'll stop. And I was just kind of like, hey. He was like, hey, Dave, what's up? I was like, oh, you remember me? So finally Gabe has to do the awkward power down where he's like, yeah, making it go down. So thankfully, he slowed it down to, basically walking speed, and then realized that wasn't going to work because I had a lot of things to say. So he stopped and got off, and we talked for a few minutes, and then probably a week after that, we went to lunch and sort of began this friendship. But I love telling people that because Gabe is too humble to ever tell you that I stalked him, which I did. And still do.
I had a feeling that was going to happen, yes. Yeah. I'm determined to make this interview about Dave, though, because, as I said, he's a very giving person. Every time I play, we've written several songs, and I've played keyboards with him and open shows for him, and he's always very effusive with his praise of me. But I'm going to try and nip that in the bud right now, even though I very much appreciate it, because I thought it would be really special to have Dave here, because he is a unique artist and is also has a background in the church, his father being a minister, grew up in Mississippi, in Knoxville, and we'll talk about that stuff in a little bit. But I just kind of wanted to first maybe ask you a little bit about what you've been up to in the past year or so. I mean, have you been writing songs? Have you been...
Well, this, which maybe you were going to bring this up later, but I had a song recorded about, I guess 2 years ago now. There's a country artist named Blake Shelton, and for those who aren't country fans, he's the country guy on The Voice, one of the judges. But Blake, about 2 years ago, recorded a song that I wrote called God Gave Me You. And you guys are all Nashvilleian, so that's a great, huge deal. Because I say that to other places, they're like, did he steal that? And I'm like, no, he didn't steal it. He didn't steal it. My uncle threatened to hurt him, and I'm not kidding. He's like, you want me to go get that song back? I was like, well, I don't really know how you would do that. Some Jedi mind trick, So lately it's been a really interesting season of life for Annie and I. My wife and I just had our first baby about 1.5 years ago, a little boy named Ben. And so it's been sort of an interesting change for me because I think I'm in a season of figuring a lot of things out because, I've enjoyed touring, especially touring with friends, which I think to me is what makes it so much fun, because it's just like a field trip all the time, where the end of the day ends with you playing music. But I think lately it's been, I've really had to sort of figure out these new priorities and some challenges on sort of how to balance being a dad and a husband and also an artist and a musician, which is tricky. But I think I've also been very fortunate, because I feel like God sort of paved an on-ramp into the co-writing and writing for other people career with this song, because it was a big hit, and a lot of people suddenly went, oh, Dave's not just an artist, he writes songs that other people can record. So a lot of interest has sort of been generated for that part of my career. And so I feel really fortunate, because I actually haven't been, I've kind of been home for basically a year and a half trying to sort of start this new career as a writer for other people and with other people, which has been really great. And I think I just turned 34, about to turn 35 this summer. And I just feel like I've enjoyed the season of playing, and I still want to do it. But I do think also my first priority is being a husband and a dad. And so I kind of feel like if God will sort of give me the real estate to do artistry, but really try to focus on doing that, that's what I'm going to try to do. So we'll see.
It seems like this
serving at Denny's.
It's been a goal for the last, even before the success of God Gave Me You. You had sort of started to talk about how much you love touring, but that you want to spend a little bit of time at home. And it's just, it's amazing that this has happened. I just wanted to briefly talk about how this happened. I think, you had a hit with God Gave Me You on Christian radio, which was sort of your biggest hit on Christian radio, and Blake Shelton was riding down the road in his truck, or I think was the story, and he heard it, and it inspired him so much that it inspired him to propose to his wife, to his fiancée, I guess, Miranda Lambert, the country singer, and he decided he had to put this song on his record, and it became the second single and went to #1 for 2 straight weeks. 3 weeks. Thank you. And
so humble.
That's good. and then went on to become Grammy nominated for Best Country Song, which is incredible. And I mean, I'm wondering if did the success of that song surprise you?
Oh my. Yes.
It wasn't like
no, it did. It did. No, completely. The way that I've thought about it is this, and I don't know if you felt this way or any other songwriters felt this way in the room, but like I think for me, there was this really beautiful. I didn't know. I knew that I liked writing songs, and I was really fortunate that a certain small group of people enjoyed listening to them. But I don't think that I knew. I don't know how to say this. I just always thought, I write songs, and this little group of people like them, and as long as they'll come to shows and buy CDs, I can have this career. And then God Gave Me You was sort of this terrifying new revelation, which is a weird way to say it, but because I was kind of like, oh, wait a second. Like, I'm capable of writing a song that many people can like, and oh, boy. So it was this great thing, because I was like, man, what a blessing. But then it was also like, man, what does this mean? Does this mean I need to work a lot harder? Or, and then I think you see it with so many people who have success, is this sudden burden, and I really say that, of more of that. You kind of feel like, well, does this mean I have to keep producing like this? And so I think it was a really weird weight, a good weight, but I think a weight of kind of, okay, well, because I always just wrote for me, and if I liked it, that was great. But all of a sudden there was kind of this new little maze in my brain I had to get through of like, okay, now I have an idea, but is it a good idea? Would a lot of people like this idea? And so kind of having to juggle like, well, it's okay to write songs that nobody else likes but you, but now I also know that I can write songs a lot of people like. And so it's been a really weird, but completely a surprise, but I think at the same time kind of like, oh boy, what does this mean?
Can we play that song? Yeah. You guys want to hear the song? Okay, cool. Let's do it.